Before we begin the regular City Council meeting open session, I would like to remind members of the audience that anyone wishing to speak during public comment must obtain a number card from the city clerk. If you did not obtain a number card and wish to speak, please proceed to the back of the room and city staff will issue you a number card. Say hi, Lisa. She's got the number cards. Lining up during public comment will not be permitted, and each speaker should remain in their seat until their number is called. The time clock will begin when you begin your comments. There will be 3 public comment periods this evening. The first public comment period will be for comments related to public hearing item number 1, adoption of the city's budget. The second public comment period will be for comments related to item number 2, adoption of the citywide user fees for fiscal year 24-25. And the third public comment period will be for items listed on the agenda, including consent calendar items and non-agenda items within the city council's jurisdiction. Members of the public wishing to speak on public hearing item number 1 should obtain a yellow number card. Those wishing to speak on public hearing item number 2 should obtain a purple number card. And those wishing to speak on consent calendar and non-agenda items should obtain a blue number card. Per the city's meeting rules and for fire safety regulations, all persons shall remain seated unless addressing the council or entering or leaving the chambers. Standing in the aisles or along the walls is prohibited. There's overflow seating available in the lobby. If there are no available seats in the chambers, please proceed to sit in the lobby. I will now call to order the regular city council meeting. The open session time is 6:36. City Clerk Duarte, will you please call the roll?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Frometa is excused. Councilmember Ortiz.
Present.
Councilmember Pemberton.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Sosa.
Present.
And Mayor Trujillo.
Here. The invocation tonight is going to be led by Reverend Tanya Lopez from the Downey Memorial Christian Church. And after the invocation, please remain standing for the flag salute. Welcome, Pastor Lopez.
Thank you. I want to thank you all for having me here tonight. And before I lead us into a moment of prayer, I just want to offer these words of wisdom from my denomination, the Disciples of Christ Christian Church. And that is that we are disciples of Christ, a movement for wholeness in a fragmented world. You don't need to be a member of our denomination or even a member of a church, I think, to use your gifts to promote and foster wholeness and restoration. And in fact, in these times in which we're living, I think we all need to use all that we have to better serve those that we are called to serve. Join me in prayer. Most wondrous God, we thank you for the gift of leadership that you have gathered here. We thank you for all who've answered the call to serve their neighbors as public servants. Each of them bring their gifts and their perspectives, their energy and their passion to the work that they do. We ask that in this moment, you grant us your wisdom and that your presence guide the work that is done tonight. May all the discussions be respectful and inclusive. May they build bridges that foster unity and close divides. Help us to serve in ways that ensure the well-being of all of our residents. Protect and guide our community leaders and our partners. Help us to create, through all that we do together, a more prosperous and safe city of Downey for all. With gratitude and in unity, we all say, Amen.
Forward, Girl Scout Troop 275 to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready when you are.
Okay. Put your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Thank you, Girl Scout Troop 275. Let's give them a round of applause. Now's the time for City Council member announcements, requests for future agenda items, and conference and meeting reports. But before we do that, I'd like to take a moment to recognize a member of Mexico's Congress, if you will. Hoy tenemos el honor de recibir a una diputada federal que nos está visitando del gran país de México. Queremos reconocer la presencia de María Elena Serrano Maldonado. Bienvenida sea diputada federal aquí. Bienvenida a la ciudad de Downey. Nosotros hicimos historia en 1960 cuando acudimos a la llamada del presidente. And I will translate. When the president wanted us to do sister cities, Downey was the first one to convene a sister city agreement across the borders in Mexico with Guadalajara. So we have a very strong connection to Mexico, obviously, amongst other things. Welcome, Ms. Serrano Maldonado. Thank you for being here tonight. And now I will start to my right with Mayor Pro Tem Sosa for City Council member announcements and requests for future agenda items.
Thank you, Mayor Trujillo. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to keep my comments extremely short because my colleague to the left has a lot to say tonight. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. I hope you're all enjoying your summer and staying cool out there. I'll just report, been out of town a little bit, but I did manage to, in between trips, start a neighborhood watch group committee on my block. So I was looking for something to do, but it's my neighbors are very appreciative and also gave me a chance to connect with some of my neighbors I didn't know that well. But neighborhood watch group is a good thing, obviously with the wonderful support of Downey PD. But again, I said I'd keep my comments short. Welcome, everyone. I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Sosa. Councilwoman Pemberton.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming and being here. I do have a few comments because I've been busy. I've also been on vacation 2 weeks, so I'm playing a little catch up, and I'm glad to get back to work. I always start with the month, and what do we celebrate during this month? July 4th is a celebration of our country's birthday, and we are 248 years old, or rather young. Disability Pride Month is this month. America's disability community, which describes this as a chance to honor each person's uniqueness as a natural and beautiful part of the humanity and diversity. And the Americans with Disabilities Act was signed by President George H.W. Bush on July 26, 1990. It was a landmark law that prohibited discrimination against people with disabilities. And in that same year, Boston held its first Disability Pride Day. And this is according to Harvard University. Some of the things that I attended in the last 4 weeks, we had our first 4th of July parade on June 30th. It was fantastic, and we were all there. It was such a success by our Downey Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Michael Calvert, and your team for putting that on. And mark on your calendars next year, they have it scheduled for Saturday, June 28th, 2025. Concerts in the Park is going on right now. We're midway through. It's every Wednesday, 7 p.m. at Furman Park. We've had some fantastic bands. My colleague Horacio and I are the greatest dancers on the dance floor. And tomorrow we have Las Catrinas Mariachi. It's the female group. Then 7:31 piano rock. And on August 7th, they will close with the Downey Symphony Classical. We had a 2-day conference in San Diego that I attended for independent cities and gained insight on many topics for other cities, including ARENA, how cities are trying to cope with the housing requirement that we have to do in the next 10 years. Remember, Downey's required to build over 6,000 homes in 10 years. The Downey Chamber of Commerce had their annual awards and board installation. Congratulations to incoming President Neelam, we call her Rain, Neg, and thanking Daniel Andrade for his very successful year. Security Land Escrow had their 80th anniversary, 80 years in business here in Downey, the corner of 5th and Paramount, and had a ribbon cutting. And we'd like to thank Larry Garces for keeping that excellent business going. The mayor and I'm sorry if I'm stealing your thunder, but we had a theater subcommittee meeting and with our Parks and Rec Director, Jason, and our lineup is about 90% complete. We have a good diversity of some comedy shows and music genres, so stay tuned for that release. I won't give it away, Jason. Vector, I am a trustee for the Vector Mosquito Board. I attended the last meeting, and they are in process of releasing sterile male mosquitoes into the community so that we can reduce the population and that we don't have that issue out there with West Nile virus. I'd like to remind some residents that the trash cans are not to be left on sidewalks or in front of the street. They're to be put out of sight from the street. Otherwise, they would be in violation, and this was the request of some residents in my district. They can't walk on the sidewalks, plus you don't want to see the stinky trash cans. I attended the Taste of Southeast LA SELA, a Kiwanis Club charter banquet in Huntington Park with our mayor. We invited us, they are hosting a new Kiwanis Club. Service clubs are also the heart of our city as well. We'd like to see them in our community. Camp Downey had a field trip here on June 28th. I was a tour guide. We had about 50 little people, little campers, going through all parts of our departments. Perhaps we're going to get some future city employees at age 10, so they enjoyed it. There was a Metro I-605 corridor improvement meeting at the ARC recently, and Councilwoman Frometa was there and spoke, reminding the audience that their input is important to the 605 and Metro, because then they take that input and make the changes that we need to do. For our mayor, it was also former Mayor Claudia was instrumental in saving the widening of the I-5 between Lakewood and the 605, which might have taken houses on both sides, and they are not going to do that widening project. I would like to, we had a clock dedication, but I'll save that. I think it's coming. Thank you, staff, Downey PD, for the methods of trying to get the traffic to slow down. We have our radar detectors. The speed trailers are coming out. I've seen them on Old River School Road. I call it Old River School Speedway. Downey Avenue is there, and also recently on Wileyburg. I've seen a 55 go down Downey Avenue when it's at 40 miles an hour. Thank you, Public Works, for getting the second phase of the speed humps down Guatemala from south of Suva to Lubeck. All the residents, we had 85% of the residents turn in the petition requesting to have that, again, to slow down traffic. So that stretch on Guatemala is going to have some calming measures coming up, and will go out for bid. We also had some parking signs installed in an alley between Wileyburg and Reeves, thanks to a resident, myself, and Public Works, to get rid of people leaving abandoned cars. It was dirty. The trash can companies can't go through. And parking enforcement have done a good job on cars that have been parked there for weeks. You have to be moving your car every couple days. Get the Downey app. Download the app. That will help report a problem. I have some save the date coming up. National Night Out is coming up on August 6th. It'll be here at City Hall in the courtyard from 5:30 to 8:30. Bring the families, come on out. It's going to be a good area to mix and mingle. Saturday, August 10th at Golden Park is our movie event at 6 p.m. And earlier that day, Gangs Out of Downey will have their backpack event at 3 p.m. A couple of us will be there distributing the backpack for children that need that when they start school, brand new backpack. Family Camp Out at Dennis the Menace Park is running now until August 24th. It might be sold out, but you can call 562-904-7238. And Keep Downey Beautiful is looking for locations that need street cleaning. This is a unique service and area that we have in Downey, where we have volunteers go out once a month on Saturday, and they're going to post their schedule, but we need some new locations, or if you know of something, contact Madeline at 562-904-7103 to suggest an area for a Saturday cleanup. And so for my follow-up, City Manager Bradley, I want to thank the Public Works for painting parking spots on Downey Avenue. The residents asked that so we can have more cars parked there. But I'd like to put this idea over into high-density areas, like our rental areas, Western and Lorena. I had a resident say that some cars are taking the whole spot when 2 cars could fit there. And maybe if we can have denoted parking on there for even compact cars, that we could get more parking for the residents, and so that they will park better and think of the other people, decrease parking for the residents, and not take 2 spots.
I'll second that.
Second that? And not only just over my area, I think you have areas as well that we can research the city, okay?
Yeah.
Number 2, will we be getting an update on the shade structure on the bus stops? Mentioned this earlier, some of our bus stops don't have any shade for the public transportation people, and they've been cutting some of the trees, so maybe that's coming through. Number 3, fireworks. I have to say this year, and many will agree, this year was outrageous. There are so many illegal fireworks, and our fines in Downey have increased to $2,000. They were issued 30 citations this last 4th of July. Downey has a zero tolerance to illegal fireworks, but they have to be caught doing it to issue it. Thanks to the police department, I'm sure your staff was quite busy. I think I saw a sign that Bell Gardens has prohibited fireworks entirely with a $10,000 fine if they're caught. I would like to look into increasing our fine. Perhaps we can make efforts to stop illegal fireworks and have a program maybe next year in May to let them know our fines will be X amount. It'll be assessed to the homeowner, and maybe that will give people a second thought. So many are, even in our street, in our backyard, shooting them off. So if they see that it's a higher fine, $2,000 might not be enough to catch their attention, and maybe we can increase that and look into see what some of the others.
I'll second that.
And street sweeping. I'd like to let the residents know street sweeping, as our city manager has let me know, is done citywide. Some areas were requesting to have street sweeping, but the cars might be in the way. We need to put our no parking signs down so that we can get our street sweepers, which start at 5:30 in the morning. And so we will work on that to get all our sidewalks and such clean. And Treasure Island Park is being addressed. It was complaining about that our bushes were old and such. So we're having some people, our park staff is going out to look at that, and we'll get that freshened up. I'd like to see if we can get an update on the alley repavement. We talked about that, and I know we're having it in some areas, but I know they're going to be graded as to necessity, priority. So maybe we could have that at a second meeting. And with that, I will conclude, and hopefully there's something in there for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Pemberton, for your very thorough report. We should just do you first, because I think that would eliminate a lot. If you could just mention we were there with you, so then we don't have to talk about it, that'd be great. Councilmember Ortiz?
Thank you. Well, I conclude my comments. No, just kidding.
Right? Ditto what she said.
I just want to say thank you so much for everybody being here. It's great to be back. I know we had a little break during this time. I will keep my comments short. I went to a ribbon cutting for a new restaurant here in Downey called Tacos Downey Factory on Florence Avenue, so please go try them out and spend local. I do have one ask of staff. On Hall Road, if we can put a speed bump. I have a couple residents complaining about big trucks going fast through that area. I was hoping we can at least add a speed bump or at least a stop between Adamore Avenue or Hall Road. So if I can have a second for that.
Second.
Thank you. And with that, I conclude my comments for tonight.
Thank you. I attended several of the events that Councilwoman Pemberton mentioned, several ribbon cuttings. It's always good to welcome new businesses to the city. The Rotary Club and the Time Capsule event was really cool. We got to intern our capsule, time capsule donated by the Downey Rotary. Thank you to the Downey Rotary for the time capsule and the beautiful clock. If you haven't seen it, it's on the corner of 3rd and Downey Avenue. Please take a walk. It is a very nice clock. And in 25 years, we'll be unveiling the time capsule. The Downey Pride 4th Annual Festival's coming up the weekend at the Downey Theater. You have Mario Aguilar, 20 million followers on TikTok. This is the second year that he comes to perform in Downey. So Friday, Downey Theater. Saturday, free event, completely open to the public, thanks in great part to the council that approved supporting this event. They have a lineup. Lorena Herrera will be here. Again, this is free to the public. Depeche Mode cover band, Devotional, featuring Downey resident Freddie Morales. He does a great job of imitating Dave Gahan, 5 o'clock. Dorothy, I know you like Depeche Mode. And so does Hector, I believe. And Valentina from RuPaul's Drag Race will also be performing. She's volunteering, and she's known as the Princess Sella, I think, by LA Times, and she's a big celebrity from RuPaul's drag race. So Saturday, August 10th. I had the honor of visiting the White House for their Pride celebration. I want to encourage everyone to attend concerts in the park Wednesdays, Furman Park. It really is a great Downey tradition. If you haven't been to the concerts in the park, check them out. Bring your blanket, bring your chairs, and support the Rose Float Association. They sell hot dogs. For like $6, you can have dinner per person. It's really cool. So please come check it out. And like Dorothy said, bring your dancing shoes. People get out there on that dance floor. So join us for that.
Tomorrow they're bringing tacos.
Tacos, yeah. And para las Catrinas, mariachi night tomorrow. That should be good. Downtown Downey night markets. I want to recognize our executive director for the Downtown Downey Business Association, Hans Fritz, and the president of the board, Jorge Villa. Thank you for the amazing job you're doing in creating a vibrant downtown, primarily for Downey residents. The night markets, I think, are a great touch. It's a great family event. It's good to see families in our downtown Downey. So thank you for doing that. The night markets are free to everyone, and it's the second and the fourth Thursdays of the month. So please support the night markets. Some items that I would like the staff to work on. So there's a number of dedication plaques, and I was talking to, and I want to recognize them. Mr. Downey's here. Two-time former Mayor Mario Guerra is here. Thank you for being here, sir. Dedication plaques. If we could inventory where the dedication plaques are or should be, because I believe they're being stolen and sold for metal, for scrap metal. So I think we should know where these dedication plaques are in case the council wants to, I guess, replace them. Can I get a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. There's a lot of talk about SIACA, folks. I'm getting a little worried. We're being called a kill shelter. I don't like that. So I would like some sort of status of what is going on with SIACA. I hear that the hours are like ridiculously limited. You have to figure out, like, you could only go Tuesdays between like 11 and 2. That's not gonna work. If we really are serious about getting these pets adopted out, we need to do something to make this place accessible. So I'm hoping the council will join me in asking, we want a full report on what's going on with SIACA. Are we getting our money's worth? And if we don't need to be a part of SIACA, then maybe we should consider doing our own thing, because I'm not hearing good things about SIACA. Can I get a second?
I got a second.
Thank you. Empty tree wells, way too many. I'm gonna put the staff on notice now. I'm starting to walk through election time. You're going to be getting a lot of reports from me, a lot of complaints. Things change when you become elected. You start looking at everything just this critical eye. And today I found 8 tree wells. They're a liability. But most importantly, I think adding trees to Downey would benefit. I had a really good conversation with our city manager. I'm hoping that we can do something about increasing our tree canopy. So, just at some point, I'd like to know what the plan is on how we are going to replenish these empty tree wells. I think the goal has been 200 trees a year. I'd like to know, are we meeting the goals? What do we need to do to make it happen? So something on trees, if I could have some sort of report.
Second.
Thank you. And the grammar school arches, all right, we got an email about it. I think we're already on top of it. The beautiful arches that are right here behind our police department. I'd like to know what efforts we're doing to maintain it and conserve it. If we could just have a report on the arches, please, that would be great. And that concludes my comments and requests for future agenda items. And now we're going to turn to the city manager for our city manager staff member comments.
Thank you, Mayor. Just real quick, a couple of items. On the bus stop shelter report, that'll be coming to City Council on August 13th, so you'll receive it at that date. Just want to clarify on the fireworks citation increase, the fine increase. Did I hear $5,000 is what you wanted, or did you want to have options for the council to consider on that item?
Well, perhaps it might be options. Maybe we can investigate what other cities are doing for a first offense.
Got it. Okay. And then, so that was the extent of the request, is just looking at options for fines. Got it?
Options, but stricter, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the $100 parking ticket doesn't mean much anymore.
Gotcha, and I think that's all the clarity I need. I got everything else, and we'll take care of that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on to presentations. So let's go down to the podium. Am I good? Hello, am I good? Okay, buenas noches. Welcome to this part of the program where I get the honor and privilege of selecting some individuals in the city who I want to recognize for excellence. And tonight, I have the privilege of recognizing Maria Teresa Villarreal. I had an opportunity, yes. One of the perks of being an elected official is meeting people. And vente, Maria Teresa, I'm going to say some things about you. I met Maria Teresa, and she's radiant. Look how she dresses, right? She's always fashion on point, glamour, elegance. And I didn't know that the building that I've seen for years on Telegraph when I would go to Pepe's out there, the big cosmetology beauty school, well, that's her business. So when I was invited to tour the school, because it is a beauty school, I was really impressed by what Maria Teresa Villarreal was doing, so I wanted to recognize her. She's an entrepreneur, an innovator, a successful instructor in the beauty industry field with a long trajectory and pioneer on promoting study and work opportunities, primarily for the Latino community, but her school's open to everyone. Now, many people who have come in contact with her have built careers of their own. This woman is transforming lives by providing opportunities to men and women. A lot of men were there because not only is it a beauty school, but it's also a barber school. She's the founder and chief officer of a number of education systems for the industry, all with high standards. She first started here in Downey with her first beauty company in 1993 and founded California's first Latina Stylist Association in 1994. She pioneered the state's first Spanish language apprentice program. Now, this program is amazing because it allows some individuals who may not be here legally to seek a legal path to residency through education. This woman found a way through state-certified apprentice programs of people to give people an opportunity to make a decent living. And for that, and amongst other things, she's being recognized. She attracts learners from 11 counties in the state. You know, we have 58 counties. LA and Orange County are the largest, but they're coming from 11 counties from throughout California to take advantage of the services and opportunities she provides. Her accredited programs offer dual certifications with Mexican authorities. She's very well connected. She's part of the Comité Mexicano Cívico Patriótico. That's right, aquí estamos presentes, ¿verdad? And as you can see, I mean, when a member of Congress comes to be present for recognition, you know she's active and she's connected. She's enhanced global career opportunities for thousands. She directs the COSMETICA Cosmetology and Barbering Apprenticeship Unilateral Committee and the Southern California Cosmetology and Barbering Employers Association, supporting apprenticeships across California. She also leads COSMETICA Beauty and Barbering Academy, offering a comprehensive training and advanced programs here in the great city of Downey. Most of all, she's a loving grandma and mom to her family. I saw her at work, and she took the time to acknowledge a young lady, and it turned out to be her daughter. She has her family working there, and then that's amazing. So, por esas cosas y más, hoy te quiero dar el reconocimiento del Premio de Excelencia del Alcalde de Downey, the Mayor's Excellence Award de Y aquí tu servidor, el alcalde, Maria Teresa, in recognition of your extraordinary dedication and commitment to enriching the lives and potential of our community by providing apprenticeship programs, enhancing career opportunities and business training. Thank you for your passion for advancing the beauty industry and empowering individuals through education. Muchas gracias por todo lo que haces, Maria Teresa. Yeah. También tenemos un certificado de nuestra miembro de la asamblista Blanca Pacheco. Thank you so much. Our field director Ari Reese is here. We want to recognize you, and please thank the Assemblywoman for providing the certificate of recognition to our honoree. Yes. Y un poco obsequio de Prima Ciudad. All right. Okay, vamos a unas palabras, por favor. Toma tu tiempo.
¿Cómo están? Yo más que todo quiero agradecerle primero a Dios por estar aquí este día y a nuestro alcalde de la ciudad de Downey. Tengo ya aquí casi 30 años en esta bella ciudad y me siento muy agradecida por todo el apoyo que he tenido de la ciudad, y mi propósito ha sido siempre el servir a mi comunidad, a mi familia, y este día muy especial sé que es un regalo de Dios y me hace sentir aún con más compromiso de seguir sirviendo a mi comunidad. Muchas gracias a todos los que vinieron a acompañarme.
Sí, los miembros del comité, si pueden venir, vamos a tomar una foto de la familia. Let's get your family first. ¿Dónde está la familia? Vénganse.
Vénganse. Mónica, vénganse. Tere, prima. Bueno, todos son mi familia, todos son mi familia, todos son familia, todos.
Bueno, tenemos fotógrafos, pero ¿todos listos? Si no pueden ver el fotógrafo, él no nos puede ver a ustedes. Ahí está, Ricardo.
There was at Camp Downey, there was a tall girl, she was in the front, and then Axel made in front of her, she lost her spot.
No. Okay. ¿Listo? 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I think he has it.
Okay. Claro. Okay. All right. Gracias. Okay. Thank you so much. All right. We're going to continue with the program. Thank you so much. And now, gracias. We have some proclamations. It's Disability Pride Month, and we have Emilio Sosa, the Chief Executive Officer with ARC. He's going to receive the award. Emilio, if you'll please come forward. The City of Downey would like to recognize Disability Pride Month. We celebrated in July. The month aims to acknowledge and value those with disabilities and their intersecting identities by honoring their history, achievements, struggles, and experiences. It is a time for individuals living with disabilities and their families to share and express what it means to live with a disability and how it impacts one's life. And as a parent of a child who's on the spectrum, I really want to thank you and recognize you for all the work you do. You know that ARC is near and special to all our hearts. This council is very supportive of the work that the ARC does, and you're one of the feathers in our cap, if you will, of the work that we're doing as a city to recognize and serve the disabled community. So thank you for being here. Appreciate it. A few words.
Well, on behalf of the participants and individuals with disabilities that we serve on the ARC, I want to thank you, Mayor Trujillo, Mayor Pro Tem Sosa, and fellow council colleagues for the support that you give the ARC. Individuals with disabilities is an underserved community, and we're here to kick those doors down and provide services, access, and programs, and more importantly, advocate for their rights to having a normal life as much as they possibly can, the way we all do. So I want to thank you for your full support. I want to thank the city, fellow council members for everything you do. We're here to support the city as well. Thank you.
All right, let's get a picture. Thanks. Thank you. All right, one more. So we here in Downey, I really think that we have done a good job of recognizing veterans in general. And tonight is a special night for us because we are going to issue a proclamation recognizing and by proclaiming the city as a Purple Heart City, we're committing to remembering the acts of resiliency of the brave men and women. It's with much admiration, honor, and respect that we should salute all veterans, and especially Purple Heart recipients. Without veterans, we wouldn't be able to exercise our rights, liberties, and opinions. I, for one, am grateful to veterans for all that they have done. The Purple Heart City designation will serve as a reminder of our veteran service to our community. So in order to become a Purple Heart city, I'm asked to read this into the record. So on behalf of the Military Order, the Purple Heart of the USA Incorporated, I wish to extend a heartfelt thank you to you and your esteemed members of the Downey, California City Council for your efforts in supporting many worthy veteran welfare initiatives as outlined in the 2024 City of Downey Veteran Services brochure. But most importantly, for designating the City of Downey as a Purple Heart City and recognizing the momentous and consequential importance of this award. The Purple Heart Medal is the only military decoration which attests, without question, to the bearer having been in active combat. It is a decoration of solemn distinction for which an individual cannot be recommended. It is awarded to an individual by certification of the President of the United States for only those who have sacrificed themselves greatly, having been wounded or killed as a result of enemy action while serving in the lines of duty within the armed forces of the United States. George Washington, then Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army, put in his August 7th, 1782 order from his headquarters of the Hudson in Newburgh, New York, establishing the badge of military merit, the predecessor of the modern Purple Heart Medal. Let it be known that he who wears the military order of the Purple Heart has given of his blood in the defense of his homeland and shall forever be revered by his fellow countrymen. As such, the establishment and expansion of the Purple Heart Trail has a lofty purpose to support the reverence ordered for medal recipients from some 242 years ago. Your designation as a Purple Heart entity serves not only as an outward expression of gratitude, but as a solemn reminder of those no longer with us and those still amongst us who have sacrifice themselves greatly to ensure the freedoms we enjoy. Signed by Joe Sutton, National Purple Heart Legacy and Trail Coordinator. So I believe that with the reading of this letter into the record, it is official. That makes Downey a Purple Heart city, and for that, we should be greatly honored. So as the mayor, I proclaim, whereas the Purple Heart is the oldest military decoration still in use, having been established by George Washington, the commander-in-chief of the Continental Army in 1782, the badge of military merit, as it was known then. And whereas the city of Downey acknowledges and honors the courage, selflessness, and sacrifice of our military personnel who have been wounded or killed while serving our country. And whereas the Purple Heart embodies the spirit of patriotism and devotion to duty that inspires all Americans to serve our nation. And whereas the residents of Downey recognize the profound impact of these brave men and women who have displayed extraordinary courage and dedication in defense of our freedoms. And whereas it is fitting and proper to designate Downey, California, as a Purple Heart city to demonstrate our enduring gratitude to Purple Heart recipients and their families for their sacrifices. Now, therefore, I, Mario Trujillo, Mayor of the City of Downey, hereby proclaim the City of Downey a Purple Heart city, committed to honoring and remembering the sacrifices of Purple Heart recipients and ensuring that their service and sacrifices are never forgotten. Signed today, July the 23rd, 2024. Thank you, everyone. All right. We should. Let's get a picture.
And the reason I'd like to get a picture of all of us, a resident brought this up to me in my district that we wanted to be a Purple Heart Medal city, and that our staff has worked quickly on this to make that accomplishment. I wanted to just quickly read the table of honors, and this is a table that is set for that military person that is no longer with us, who gave the ultimate sacrifice. The white tablecloth represents the purity of the response to our country's call. The empty chair depicts an unknown face representing no special soldier, sailor, or Marine, but all who are not here with us anymore. The black napkin stands for the emptiness these warriors have left in the hearts of their families and friends. The single red rose reminds us of their families and loved ones, and the red ribbon represents the love of our country, which inspired them to answer the nation's call. The slices of lemon on the bread plate reminds us of their bitter fate. The salt upon the bread plate represents the tears of the times of the family. The wine glass turned upside down reminds us that our distinguished comrades cannot be with us to drink a toast. And last, let us honor America's POWs, MIAs, and those who cannot be with us now, and to the successes of our efforts to account for them, which we are doing right now. So I'm very proud. Thank you very much for doing that. Let's get a picture.
Why don't we invite and Mr. Heyman, come on down, sir, to join us in this picture. All of you who are veterans, any veterans, any other veterans, please join us. Right here, Mr. Right in the middle, right there. Here, why don't you hold this one? Let's get Brian next to you. Right here. Choose Brian. All right. You ready? All right, let's do this. All right. I'm going to return this to you. What's this? If you were here just for the presentation, this would be a good time to exit, especially again. Okay, we're going to continue with the meeting. There are two public hearing items this evening. The first item is adoption of a resolution. I'm going to wait till everyone, okay. The first item is adoption of a resolution setting the lighting and landscaping assessment levy for fiscal year 24-25, Department of Public Works, that the City Council conduct a public hearing concerning the confirmation and levy assessments for Assessment District 121 for fiscal year 24-25. And number two, adopt a resolution number 24-8255, confirming the diagram and assessment and ordering the levy and collection of assessments for the City of Downey Lighting and Landscaping Assessment District 121 for fiscal year 24-25, pursuant to the provisions of Part 2 of Division 15 of the California Streets and Highways Code. The hour having arrived, the public hearing is now open. The time is 7:21 p.m. City Clerk Duarte, do you have proof of publication?
I do, Mayor.
Can I have a motion and a second to receive and file the publication?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Please vote. I need a little thing to vote. Oh, it works. My
The
finger
motion is
works.
approved unanimously.
City Manager Bradley, is there a staff report?
Yes, Mayor, we have Ed Norris, Deputy Director of Public Works, who will provide the report.
Excellent. Please come forward, Mr. Norris.
Good evening, Mayor Trujillo, council members, city manager Bradley, and staff. The city has completed the annual engineer's report for the proposed FY 24-25 assessment levy of direct assessments on the city's approximately 22,000 parcels, which receive a special benefit through the city's lighting and landscaping assessment district, number 121, in accordance with the provisions of the Landscaping and Lighting Act of 1972 and Part 2 of Division 15 of the California Streets and Highways Code. The total estimated expenditures of $3,739,641 within the district in FY 24-25 were determined through the annual budget process and include the estimated personnel, administrative, materials, equipment, energy, contract services, repair and rehabilitation, and incidental expenses required to fund the cost of maintaining and operating the city's street lights, traffic signals, safety lights, and street landscaping, and provide the improvements and services for each zone. The aforementioned total estimated cost associated with the assessment district will be offset by various revenue sources totaling $3,214,551, consisting of general ad valorem property tax estimated at $963,000, the proposed assessment levy estimated at $2,248,551, and approximately $3,000 in miscellaneous revenue. Each parcel will be assessed proportionately for only those improvements, services, and expenditures for which the parcel will receive special benefit. It should also be noted that there are no proposed assessment rate increases for FY 24-25. Based on the estimated expenditures and revenues for FY 24-25, each of the 7 zones comprising the district are projected to have positive fund balances by the end of FY 2025, with the exception of zones 3 and L, which are projected to have negative ending balances. The portion of the expenditures in each zone not covered by the aforementioned revenue sources will be drawn from the reserve fund in said zone. For the zones with relatively low maximum assessment rates, particularly Zone L, the landscaping zone, which has historically operated in the negative due to a lack of property tax infusion, increasing tree trimming costs, and the assessment revenue being capped at an amount far less than the costs in this zone, a rate increase process can be pursued in the future to increase the assessment revenue. The rate increase process would require the support of the property owners for the increased assessment rate in excess of the current maximum allowable rate through a ballot proceeding and conducted under the provisions of Article 13D of the California Constitution. Upon City Council approval tonight of the assessment levy rates as proposed and adoption of Resolution Number 24-8255, the assessments will be submitted to the LA County Auditor Controller to be included on the property tax roll for each parcel. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Norris. Do any members of the council have any questions or comments?
Do we have mostly LED lights? We have all the low flow, all the low voltage in all of our spots? I assume we do. There's nothing we have to convert over or, to minimize our cost?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, all city-owned lights have been converted to LED, and Edison has converted, if not all, the majority of their lights as well.
Okay, good. Good.
Any other questions? I'm going to go ahead and open this up for, thank you, Mr. Norris. Public comment. City Clerk Duarte, did we receive any written correspondence to be incorporated into the record?
We did not, Mayor.
All right. In-person public comment. Members of the audience wishing to address the City Council regarding the public hearing item may come up when your number is called. I'll be calling yellow number cards for this item. I remind speakers that you have 3 minutes to address the council, and your comments must be regarding this public hearing item only. City Clerk Duarte, how many speakers have taken a number?
We have none for this item, Mayor.
Thank you. I would now entertain a motion and a second to close the public hearing. The time is 7:26.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. So ordered by the mayor. Unless there are any comments from the council, I'll entertain a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. Do I have a motion?
I so move to adopt.
Second. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Cesar. Please vote.
The motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you. We'll now move on to number 2. Adoption of a resolution approving the 3% increase in the assessments levied on parcels in the downtown Downey Community Benefit District. This is under the purview of the Economic Development Department. That the City Council conduct a public hearing considering a proposed 3% increase to the assessments levied on parcels in the downtown Downey Community Benefit District, and 2, adopt a resolution 24-8256 approving a 3% increase of the assessments levied on parcels in the downtown Downey Community Benefit District. At this point, I am going to excuse myself as I actually have a conflict on this item because of real estate property I own. Mayor Pro Tem Sosa will continue this part of the meeting, and you all will let me know when I can come back. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Sosa. Proceed.
Thank you. I'm sorry, where did he leave off?
2, after reading the adoption.
Okay. That the City Council conduct a public hearing considering a proposed 3% increase of the assessments levied on parcels in the downtown Downey Community Benefit District, and 2, adopt Resolution 24-8256, approving a 3% increase of the assessments levied on parcels in the downtown Downey Community Benefit District. The hour having arrived, public hearing is now open. City Clerk, do we have proof of publication?
I do, Mayor Pro Tem.
Can I have a motion and second to receive and file the publication?
So moved.
Second.
Please vote.
The motion is approved with Mayor Trujillo abstaining from the item.
Thank you. City Manager Bradley, is there a staff report on this item?
Yeah, we have our Economic Development Director, Austin Ramirez.
Thank you, council members, for the time this evening. Also joining me in the audience, should any questions come up after the presentation, is George Villa, the president of the DDIA board, and Hans Fritz, the executive director of the DDIA. The item before you tonight is at the request of the DDIA board following a vote to propose a 3% increase in the assessments levied on parcels in the downtown Downey Community Benefit District. Just some background and context on what a community benefit district or a CBD is. It's essentially a public-private partnership between a city and a group of property owners within a designated area. The districts are formed when local property owners or businesses vote to create the district in an effort to fund quality of life improvement services, typically above and beyond what typical sales tax or property tax revenue would fund. Establishing a district also includes the adoption of a district management plan to specify how a district is implemented, and then the creation of a new nonprofit management corporation to implement that plan. And so in 2018, the City Council formed the Downtown Downey CBD to enhance the security, safety, appearance, and economic viability of Downtown Downey. Our designated nonprofit management corporation is the Downtown Downey Improvement Association, or DDIA. They're a separate nonprofit 501c3. They're governed by a volunteer board of directors comprised of property owners within the district. The DDIA must administer its funding in accordance with the district management plan. Those specific activities include special events, beautification and enhancement, cleaning and maintenance, general administration, private security, marketing and promotional activities, public art, and/or contingency reserve funding. Per the management plan, the DDIA is permitted to determine annual assessment increases not to exceed 5% per year. The management plan projected a 5% increase every year for the duration of the district. However, the DDIA has not increased the assessment since its formation in 2018. The DDIA reports that the cost of services and activities since 2018 has increased by 78% on average. And so this proposed increase of 3% is really in an effort to keep up with rising costs and to fund new eligible activities. I also want to specify this is a one-time increase. The action tonight would not result in recurring annual increases. The DDIA has stated they will consider those on a case-by-case basis moving forward. Prior to proposing the 3% increase, the DDIA did conduct outreach and engagement with property owners. On June 20th, they sent a letter notifying them that a 5% assessment increase was being considered and requested comments, concerns, and feedback. Out of the 51 property owners, 4 responded in opposition to the increase. The reasons they provided were as follows. One felt there was an increase in theft and homelessness in the downtown area. One did not find marketing and events in the downtown area to be beneficial to their type of business. One did not believe that there was that an increase was appropriate during challenging economic periods, and one did not provide a reason. Following the feedback, the DDIA board convened on July 8th to discuss the feedback from property owners and discuss if an increase should still be proposed. In consideration of the feedback received, rather than a 5% increase, the DDIA board voted to propose a 3% increase. The executive director of the DDIA also spoke with the 4 property owners to discuss how the DDIA can address their concerns moving forward. Annually, the DDIA currently receives a little over $232,000 through the district assessment. After a 3% increase, which would be an increase of a little less than $7,000, that annual assessment would increase to $239,356. There is a fiscal impact to the city to consider. We are the largest property owner within the district. The table in the slides shows all of the parcels, what each annual assessment looks like, and then what each assessment would look like after a 3% increase. For the city, that's an overall increase of a little over $1,400. So our total annual assessment after an increase would be about $49,000. I think it is important to note that the DDI's efforts to enhance downtown Downey align with the 2030 strategic plan, specifically the economic vibrancy goal, which is to support community needs through the establishment of a stable, vibrant, and diverse local economy. The proposed increase in assessment funds would benefit the downtown area in accordance with the management plan and also support increased sales activity. If we look at our annual sales tax revenue in the downtown area, it has increased since 2017. Again, the district was formed in 2018. Last year's data shows an increase of about 22% since 2017. So that's an increase of a little under $150,000. If the resolution is adopted, the DDIA will submit the resolution and any other required documents to the LA County Department of Auditor Controller. The deadline to do so is August 10th, 2024. The proposed 3% increase would then take effect on December 1st, 2024. That concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions. And again, we have George Villa and Hans Fritz from the DDA here as well.
Thank you, Austin. Do any members of the council have any questions or comments at this time?
I just have a comment. I'd like to say that I'm one of the most long-term residents here. You know, the downtown Downey now was called, you know, Downey Avenue. We had simple mom and pop businesses. And then, you know, attrition happened and businesses closed. And it really was pretty much of a ghost town, what we're used to do and where we used to go. And that's when this revitalization came in. And they've brought it up. They've had this night market that they have twice a week. They do a holiday, the nutcrackers that they bring out. There's a lady that always sweeps, and I see the trash can, and I see that it's very nice and clean. They've really improved the area and brought life and vitality to it. So a lot of the costs that they are doing, I do see the benefit of things and doing murals and such, and it's a very nominal amount. So I can see why there is a need to do this with the increase in expenses and things of that nature. So that's my comment.
Just a couple questions. So this would cost the city $1,400 per year for the next 7 years?
So it'd be $1,428 after the increase.
Okay. And were the concerns with the the concerns of the 4 businesses, were those squashed or taken care of? You know?
I'll defer to George Villa. George, if you want to join for that question.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor Trujillo. Oh, he stepped out. That's right. I put my notes, didn't realize he'd be out, but council members, city staff. Some of the one concern that addressed the homeless and all that, that's not, is the mic, okay, I'm sorry. So good evening again. But the one concern that was voiced that was about the homeless and those issues, I mean, we do the best we can. It's not really something that the DDIA can handle. We really don't have a security, but we do address it. We do what we can to keep it clean, but that's part of the situation, that we do have homeless people that are defecating and doing things, unfortunately, in front of the businesses in the district. So we do respond to that. We get calls from the owners and we'll send them out to right away to clean it up. So to that extent, we do what we can.
Understood.
Yeah.
So again,
and by the way, I didn't introduce myself. I'm George Villa. I know I was introduced, but for the people in the cameras who don't know who we are or who I am.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, out of there were 4 complaints of businesses that said about the 5% increase.
Right.
But now that we dropped it to 3%, was there any complaints after that?
No, we didn't hear back from them after that. I mean, we responded. That was part of our response of why we lowered it from the 5 to 3 was in reaction to what their complaints were. But we didn't communicate that with them afterwards. But one was a business that didn't feel that they benefit from it. So then one didn't state why they were objecting. And then the one you said is just the economic conditions. But I mean, we've done what we can to help that, and it was proven through the sales tax. So we're trying to improve the economic conditions by bringing the downtown Downey market and everything. We just want to be our downtown to be a place where people come and enjoy, and it's family oriented, and it just brings everybody up, all the businesses.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, DDIA is basically a group of business owners in the downtown district that have decided to tax themselves.
Not necessarily business owner, they're property owners.
Okay.
So it was by property owners that passed it. So I think there's a total of 82 parcels, and within that there's, some owners have multiple parcels, so there's 51 property owners.
Thank you.
Yeah. Some do have businesses, but not all of them.
Is there something now coming forward that you want to also do in the downtown area that you're planning to do?
Yeah. What we want to do is try to do more of the beautification. You mentioned the murals. That's probably the number one agenda of ours. Bring more murals, more things for people to come.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, colleagues? Okay, thank you, Mr. Villa.
All right, thank you.
I will now open this item for public comment. City Clerk Duarte, did we receive any written correspondence to be incorporated into the records?
We did not, Mayor. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. In-person public comment. Members of the audience wishing to address the city council regarding the public hearing item may come up when your number is called. I will be calling purple number cards for this item. I remind speakers that you have 3 minutes to address the council, and your comments must be regarding the public hearing item only. City Clerk Duarte, how many speakers do we have that have taken a number?
We have 2 speakers, Mayor.
Okay.
Pro Tem.
Thank you. Speaker number 1, please come forward.
All right, taxes, levies, taxes on businesses. Yeah, let's do another 3%. What the heck? Let's be business friendly. This public-private partnership should be dissolved as soon as possible. Get rid of these slime pits of money laundering nonprofits and start spending our resident money on the residents, not putting them in the pockets of people that form districts. Even with the groups from outside here, like New City America, that's who DDIA is affiliated with. So in 2018, things weren't moving forward because you locked everybody down from COVID. Remember that? So you can't say everything's just been improving like crazy. A lot of it's just naturally going to happen. But the point is there was no activity. Now we have shootings, robbings, cars getting stolen. It's not a family-friendly atmosphere. Go to Ojos Locos. That's pretty family-friendly, right? Somebody approved that. Oh, well, DDIA gets 1% of all the new construction costs. They're not accountable to anybody. We don't vote for it. They're friends, though. Go ahead and approve the policies that allow them to operate and call it a district. We already have a corrupt district in this country called District of Columbia that operates outside of the will of the voters. We don't need any more locally here in Downey. That's called Washington, D.C. They are corrupt to the core, and they're decomposing right in front of your eye. Now, if you want to be business friendly, get rid of these nonprofits, stop the grift that's going on, and start being legitimate. That's what your job is as a mayor and council member. Your job is to handle those situations, not giving it out to your friends or any corrupt nonprofits. I mean, this group has their other friend, the former mayor, running the security, RMI, in the downtown Downey district. Man, this is a good deal. You just keep giving us the increases, and we can tax the businesses. Oh, they voluntarily do it. They want us to help them tax themselves. That's what they want, really? Anybody believes that? Come on. Point is that there's activity, all right, and it's not good. It's not the town that Downey is or wanted to be. Thank you.
Speaker number 2.
They won't be speaking, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I will now entertain a motion and a second to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so ordered by Mayor Pro Tem. Unless there are any additional comments from the City Council, I will now entertain a motion and a second to adopt the resolution.
Motion to approve this resolution.
Second.
Please vote.
The motion is approved with Mayor Trujillo abstaining from the item.
Okay. So let's see where we're at. Okay, so now it's time for public comment on agenda, consent calendar, and non-agenda items. I will now take public comment on agenda, consent calendar, and non-agenda items. If you did not receive a number card and wish to speak, please proceed to the back of the room to be issued a card. By city staff, I will be calling blue number cards for this public comment period. Before we begin the public comment period, I would like to remind members of the audience that the city's meeting rules contained in the Downey Municipal Code prohibit any conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Copies of the meeting rules are located in the back of the chambers. Members of the audience and speakers who violate these rules and cause a disruption will receive. It's not time for comments, sir. I'll call you when we're ready. Thank you. Sorry. Okay. Anyone who causes disruption will receive one warning and then may be removed from the meeting. Violations of the rules of decorum for council meetings may also result in an administrative fine under the municipal code or citation for a misdemeanor under Penal Code Section 403. The City Council acknowledges the right of the public to address issues that are within the city's jurisdiction and invites the public to do so during the City Council meeting. However, the right must be balanced with the need of the City Council to conduct the public business in a fair and efficient manner, free from disruption or disturbance. We expect that everyone who participates in today's meeting, from the members of the council here on the dais to staff to the members of the public in attendance, do so with respect and dignity. Please refrain from using profanity, name calling, or behaving in a way that disrupts this meeting. This includes yelling, whistling, booing, screaming, and any other outbursts that disrupt or disturb the meeting. Any conduct that interferes with or disrupts persons who are addressing the City Council. Any conduct that interferes with or disrupts council members while they are speaking, and any other conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. Attacks of a personal nature on city staff or city council members that have no connection to agenda items or non-agenda items. I remind speakers that your comments must be addressed to me directly and not to any other council member, city staff, or the audience. City Clerk Duarte, they would receive any written public comment to be incorporated into the record.
Yes, Mayor, we did. We have 2 written comments in favor of a ceasefire resolution. We have 935 written public comments in opposition of a resolution to ceasefire. And we have 2 written comments in support of a proposed ballot measure establishing a supplemental transactional use tax in the city of Downey. And those comments are from former Mayor Roger Brosmer and Financial Partners Credit Union President Nadir Mokhadam. That is all, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a motion and a second to receive and file written public comment?
So moved.
Second.
Please vote.
The motion is approved unanimously.
Thank you. Moving on to in-person public comment. City Clerk Duarte, how many speakers have taken a number?
We have 17, Mayor.
Based on the number of speakers, each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the City Council. I remind all speakers that you must remain seated until your number is called. Speaker number 1, please come forward. Now you can come forward, sir. Good evening, speaker number 1. You can start when you're ready.
Good evening, members of the Downey City Council. My name is Al, and I'm not just a Zionist. I'm a very proud Zionist because I believe Jews have a right to live freely in their own homeland. You're going to have tonight speakers who call for a ceasefire now resolution. What that resolution is a murder the Jews, rape the Jews, burn the Jews resolution. Make no mistakes, I hope that we achieve a ceasefire because I do want the war to end and all the hostages to be released, both the live ones and the ones that need to be properly buried. But what the ceasefire now resolution calls for is to go back to October 6th. We had a ceasefire back then. Obviously it didn't work. We need a different type of ceasefire, one that does not allow Hamas to murder, burn, and rape Jews. So and I do want to say something about that the racist pro-Hamas ceasefire, pro-Hamas anti-Semites keep saying, and that is that October 7th did not happen in vacuum. They're absolutely correct. The racist pro-Hamas anti-Semites, or I should say the Palestinians, because there was no Hamas before the 1980s, but the murder of Jews has been going on since March 1st, 1921 with the Jaffa riots. Now, there were murders before that, but it's not clear that they were on a racial basis. But on May 1st, 1921 with the Jaffa riots, 48 Jews were murdered, and they're being murdered ever since. And another slogan that those racist pro-Hamas anti-Semites say, never against me, never again for everybody, they're correct. It doesn't just mean never again for the Nazis. It means Hamas doesn't get to do a second Holocaust. And they're promising to do a second Holocaust when they go on Al Jazeera and promise to commit more murders of Jews. So each and every one of those racist pro-Hamas anti-Semites that will come and speak here tonight and ask for a ceasefire resolution, I want you to imagine in your minds how they're standing there in front of a Hamas operative committing a rape, saying, go Hamas, keep on raping, and when the act is over, handing them a bullet to murder the victim, and then handing them a match to burn the victim, okay? Not realizing that there's someone in a closet with a jack door who's witnessing, because that's what we had on October 7th. Okay, that's what the ceasefire now resolution is. So yeah, we want a ceasefire, one in which Hamas releases all the hostages, but not one that allows for the murder of Jews. Jews have every right to live in their homeland. So we need to pay attention to what the racist pro-Hamas anti-Semites say in all their protests and encampments. They say, from the river to the sea, the land of Israel will be free of all Jews. How do we know that? Because they only say free. They don't say for the Jews. Because in Arabic, they say Palestine will be for the Muslims or Palestine will be for the Arabs.
Speaker number 2, please come forward. Good evening.
Oh, the word Zion. Wish we could get a real accurate definition of the word Zion and a Zionist. We have everybody missing the mark altogether. But if you researched it enough, it's not what any of these groups say it is, or this individuals. Look it up, research it. You'll find out a few things about it. Number 12, a quarter-cent tax. A little more definition of a quarter cent. How do you break down a quarter cent? Is that 0.25% raise? Is that what that means? I'm assuming. Maybe it should be explained a little bit better there. We're already taxed enough. What's happening is the money's running out. People can't afford it. They can't afford to go to the store because of the inflation. The Biden-Harris inflation program they have going is killing people, and you want to tax us some more? Where are the conservatives on our council, and our council members here? We're not getting any relief at all. None. But we want to have taco factories, dog parks. We want to spend money on that. How about a tax cut? Has anybody offered to propose a tax cut for the residents of this town? Haven't heard it tonight at all. Should only be doing the essentials. What are the essentials? Lights, paving of the streets, police, fire, sewers. That's about it. All this other stuff is frivolous, frilly stuff that people can pay out of their own pocket. If you want to have a pride thing, I thought we got over that in June or July, but now it just keeps going and going and going and bringing it in with outside groups that even our mayor is a board member of, that are coming in here to have these sort of things so they can get their hands on kids on your kids as young as they possibly can. They want to influence them. They want to confuse them. They want to indoctrinate them. They want to medicate them, take them away from their parents, sterilize them, and even influence them to cut off their genitals and lead them on a straight course to suicide. You're ruining these people. You're not helping them. You're not protecting them. Parents, take your kids back. And kids, you're okay just like you are. Don't listen to these ghouls and these groomers. Thank you.
3, please come forward.
Lee Squire, Vietnam era veteran, U.S. Army, death before dishonor, mayor and city council. I'm talking about 2 items tonight, Disability Pride Month and Purple Heart Month. Disability Pride Month was a long and hard-won fight. It was the fight for the disability rights movement that continued until the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. There was not one civil rights movement, there were in fact 2. The second and lesser known is the disability rights movement. Among the disability community, we must also remember our disabled American veterans. Purple Heart Medal. This is the symbol of the blood shed for our freedoms for those who have been killed in action or wounded in action. I wear the shirt from Bachelor's Canteen tonight in honor of the 49 Marines who were killed in action in Iraq and Afghanistan. For they are the future generations who followed we, the Vietnam veterans, and for they gave up their lives to preserve the legacy of freedom of their forefathers. It is our future generations who defend the honor of those who were from priors. We, the Vietnam veterans, are the children of World War II and Korea. It was the children of Vietnam veterans who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. They were both wounded, and they were both killed in action. I want to thank you, the City Council, for honoring and becoming a Purple Heart City. I want to thank you, the City Council, and you, Roger Bradley, and your staff for adding 8 new names to the Downey War Memorial, 2 are Marine Corps, and 6 are Vietnam. On our Vietnam War Memorial, there are 23 names who were killed in Vietnam, and the 24th is at Dennis the Menace Park. Again, this is the symbol of those who shed their blood for our freedoms. It is the military who gives us freedom, not the government. God bless America. God bless the nation of Israel. God bless my military and the veterans and their families. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Speaker number 4, please come forward.
Good evening, Mayor Trujillo, members of City Council. My name is Mike Perino, and while you normally see me as serving as one of your police captains, tonight I'm speaking to you in my capacity as president of the Downey Police Management Association. And I stand before you this evening to advocate for the proposal of the establishment of the supplemental tax, sales tax, a measure that is vital to the future of our community's safety. This supplemental sales tax is not just a financial adjustment, it's an investment in our public safety infrastructure. With the additional revenue, we can ensure our police force is adequately staffed, well-trained, and equipped with the necessary resources to protect and serve our community effectively. This means quicker response times, better crime prevention, and a safer environment for all of our residents. Public safety is a foundation of a thriving community, and by supporting this supplemental sales tax, we are making a commitment to the well-being of our families, our neighbors, and our businesses. Thank you very much, and I very much appreciate your time this evening.
Thank you, Captain. Speaker number 5.
First time in all my years I've ever had a card. So I want to make sure I get my comments in there, so I wrote them down. First of all, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members, I know all of you well, and I wanted to thank you for your efforts for our awesome city. Your hard work is noticed by our residents and our community. And thank you for your recent balanced budget. As a former mayor, I understand the work and discipline it takes to get a balanced budget while preserving the fundamental values of our city. And we all know that public safety is paramount to our residents. As a resident of Downey myself, nothing is more important to me than the safety and quality of life for my family. This is why I am asking you to support putting the measure listed in item 12 on the ballot to let the residents decide about a potential 0.25% sales tax. We must maintain our police patrols and prevent crime. The measure is about improving public safety. We must maintain and grow our Downey Police Department and Fire Department. All of you know and know me pretty well that I am against higher taxes, okay? Especially to give to politicians who have no accountability. This sales tax is different. If we keep this tax, if this would keep this tax here in Downey, otherwise it will go straight to the county. This would be local funding for Downey where we can have local control. And once the measure passed, it cannot be taken by Sacramento or the county. 100% of the funds will come and remain in the city of Downey. All of you have proven that you can be trusted with our funds. I have been the chairman of the Measure S Oversight Committee in the past, and I have seen firsthand where our money has gone. And I couldn't be prouder of how our community has done. Downey is a high-quality community, and the funding will assist the city in maintaining its competitive advantage, quality of life, by keeping us safe. All we're asking for you as the city council is to let the residents decide. Your vote tonight, let the people here make the decision for themselves. Give us an opportunity to vote on it. We need to make the case on why we need that. It's either $6 million going to the county of Los Angeles or coming into the residents of the city of Downey. It's kind of a no-brainer, and when people say about taxes, I'm sorry, this one is one that's going to happen one way or the other. We're going to be paying higher taxes. We'd just rather have it here. I think the residents will vote for it because it's important for our community, but also it's common sense. It's either us or the county that will get the funds that we need locally. And again, thank you for everything you do. I appreciate it. And you know, it's interesting being here. You get a little bit more nervous than being up there after a while. So God bless you all and thank you. But yeah, this is really important. And I want to make sure that the residents know that when you're voting on this, you're putting it on the ballot to let them decide. We then, the residents, need to make the case on why this is important to keep these funds here. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Guerra. Speaker number 6, please come forward. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council, Mr. Bradley, and staff. A couple comments tonight. First of all, I want to acknowledge the fire chief and his department, and also the head of the police department and his department too, for all the work they do to protect our community. Secondly, I am a privileged individual. I'm privileged because I was born in the United States of America. This country has afforded me many benefits, which I have the opportunity to take advantage of. And therefore, I just want to ask, I know we're having a lot of problems these days in our country, but I would like to ask God to bless America, the land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with light from above, from the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America. It's my home sweet home. God bless America. My home, my sweet home. Lyrics by Irving Berlin. Finally, I am against the 0.25% sales tax increase. I understand some of the benefits that would accrue from it, but I can almost guarantee you that in the future, that there will be more taxes coming down the line from the county and from the state of California. So it all depends where you want to put your money into. This ends my comments. I yield my time back to you.
Thank you. Speaker number 7, please come forward. Number 7. Going once, twice. Moving on to speaker number 8. Please come forward. Number 8. Good evening.
Hi. I feel like at this point, there is literally nothing we can say to change your minds. We all know where you stand, and that is with the oppressive and genocidal state of Israel and what they stand for. Palestinian lives are clearly not valuable to any of you sitting here, and it shows. Calling for a ceasefire means for both sides, so it's very alarming to hear that it's not even considered, especially where we are now. Many of you can say that it's not our problem, but we are literally having the genocidal maniac Satan Yahoo here in the States to address our Congress. And I'm sure some of you sitting here would just love to be there with him. Our tax dollars continue to fund the bombs and weapons being used on the Palestinian people, and y'all are just chilling, not giving a fuck. For the rest of my time, I will be playing a clip of Hind Rajab, a 6-year-old Palestinian child that was massacred by the IOF calling for help in Gaza. The car that she was in was shot 355 times by Israeli terrorists. I hope you hear her cries in your sleep.
حبيبتي طيب انا يا حبيبتي رح اجي اخذك هلا عمو من الهلال عماله عم بنصك عشان احنا نقدر نيجي ناخذك حواليكي في ضرب رصاص.
Ceasefire down.
Speaker number 9, please come forward. Speaker number 9. Good evening.
At this point, I agree with her. I don't think any hint of passion or moral empathy for a resolution will come from dismissive local leaders. It's way past time we address higher office lawmakers. See, the math isn't mathing. Over 100 cities in 9 months, with over 50,000 cities in the United States, we're looking at a lifetime. And if anybody here tonight or listening, watching, agrees with me, we should talk. There's been a lot of rah-rah about Kamala Harris, and I'm here for the thousands of homeowners who were wrongfully kicked out of their homes. Let me explain. An internal memo published by the Intercept Office discovered over 1,000 violations of foreclosure laws by CEO Steve Mnuchin, who was One West Bank CEO, and predicted a further investigation will uncover many thousands of more violations, and called it serious, widespread misconduct and violations. Mnuchin acted callously and with blatant disregard for the law. This was 2017. This was all turned over to then Attorney General Kamala Harris, who declined to file a civil enforcement action against the bank and against Stephen Mnuchin. Against Stephen, who would later be appointed as Trump's Treasury Secretary. How convenient. There are photographs of 2017 of Kamala Harris and Stephen. See, it's not just her love connection to AIPAC, her pledge to Israel. Kamala Harris is the diet cunt of Joe Biden. And with that, I yield my time.
Speaker number 10, please come forward. Speaker number 10. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. I'm here to ask Downey City Council to put the ceasefire resolution on the agenda. On July 19th, 2024, 4 days ago, The International Court of Justice, the highest court internationally and globally, issued a ruling that stated the following. First, Israel exercised unlawful occupation. Second, Israel is apartheid state. Third, Israel exercised forcible transfer for Palestinians. Fourth, Israel is stealing and exploiting Palestinian resources, including land, water, and agriculture, etc. Fifth, Israel settlements are unlawful. Last, Israel violate Palestinians the right to self-determination. The ICJ, the International Court of Justice, restoration was first, return of land, assets, cultural properties of Palestinians. Second, evacuation of illegal settlements. Third, dismantling of illegal settlements. Fourth, returning of Palestinians to their homeland, Palestine. Seize all settlements, activities, and compensation. Be on the right side of history. The tides are turning. Don't you see that? Free Palestine, ceasefire now, and in November, we'll remember. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker number 11, please come forward. 11.
Good evening. I just have a couple quick questions for you, Mayor Trujillo, and for the council. Where's your heart? Where's your humanity? What do you guys do at night with your family? How do you explain it to your children? You have a son at home or a child? If they were watching the news with you and they were seeing the crap that's going on in Gaza, what are you going to tell them? It's okay? They're brown people? What are you going to tell them? Many of you are brown. Many of you are non-white. Some of you are white, some of you aren't. It doesn't matter, does it? People are people. But there's no respect for people when you can say it's okay to kill one batch of people, but not others. That's the do as I say, not as I do rule. Politicians are great at that, right? They're great at saying, we can spend money and we can commit crimes in our name if it benefits us and we approve it. That's okay. We can stand up here and we can talk down to people and we can tell them they're idiots or give them lectures or do anything else. But Mayor Trujillo, you weren't here last time I was here. I would have addressed it with you then, but I'll address it now. The way that you spoke to the people in this room would be a sustained complaint for any officer at your police department. So how are you going to lead by example? Right? If one of your officers got a complaint filed against them at the police department because they told somebody in public that they're an idiot and it's on their body cam or whatever it is, it'd be a sustained complaint. And it would sit in their personal file for at least 2 years. Is that justifiable? Do as I say, not as I do, right? So when we're talking about public comments, written public comments, conveniently, it amazes me how on a ceasefire resolution that's not even an agenda item, that the number of people against it can magically equal the number of people that are for it on something that's not even an agenda item. Did you write those people back emails that sent you emails and say, you don't live in my city, mind your own business, why don't you go to your city first? Because I guarantee there's a lot more people in Downey that are writing you truly on behalf of a ceasefire than people that are sending you web-generated letters that are put together on Israel's behalf. And it's not about anti-Semitism, and it's not about killing the Jews, it's about what's right. You don't kill people, straight up. Leadership is something that you do by example. What kind of an example are you going to be for the citizens of Downey? All of you. And like she said, in November, we will remember the ones that are up for re-election, the ones that are sitting there now. We can work with you. That's our goal. It's a simple request. For a ceasefire, the first person who says that a ceasefire is just agreeing with Hamas. I'm not here representing Hamas. I'm here representing.
Thank you. Speaker number 12, please come forward. Speaker number 12. Good evening.
Good evening, Council. I have a lot of claims to make, and hopefully I make them all within the allotted time. But first off, allow me to respond to some comments made earlier by some of the earlier speakers. I won't address them directly, I'll address them indirectly. I'm so tired of hearing fear-mongering from Zionists. In what world do we live in where we afford more sympathy to imagined violence over actual violence? The Palestinians are suffering and enduring an actual genocide. Should we allow that genocide to continue out of fear-mongering, out of imagined violence? Seriously, how is that even a legitimate argument? And in what world do we live in where the definition of a ceasefire means the continuation of violence? I've said before that a ceasefire is the tolerant position. If you want to remain neutral, support a ceasefire. That's the most neutral you can get. And earlier tonight, specifically from Mayor Trujillo, all I've heard tonight is hypocrisy and contradictions. I was told that releasing by this council a statement about a ceasefire in Palestine was beyond the bounds of this council, but that is so obviously a blatant lie. And whether that is a lie meant to ease your conscience or to pacify us, I'm not sure. Regardless, it will do neither. Earlier, I was forced to listen to Mayor Trujillo go on and on about praising the efforts of our military and veterans, not just veterans here in Downey, but veterans across America, who fight for our rights, never mind the fact that we only have rights here because, well, we trample and suffocate the rights of others internationally. In that demonstration alone, you demonstrated 2 points of hypocrisy and contradiction that I'd like to make mention of. One, it seems that releasing a symbolic statement beyond the city's bounds are not actually beyond the purview of this council, as you guys so egregiously claimed. Not that any of us believed it anyway. And two, you don't actually care about rights. You only care about your rights. You do not care about freedom, just yours. And I would argue even that you only really care for the Pride community, for those of you that do, because your beliefs are short-sighted, ingenuine, and self-serving. You do not care about the world, you just care about your world. Justice leers at you all, and it mocks each of you. Your sight is blighted by tunnel vision, and your hearts are diseased by apathy. I ask of you to just be honest with us and to be honest with yourselves. And earlier, I know that Hind Rajab was speaking in Arabic, but to translate it for you guys, she called her mom, telling her mom that she was scared, and her mom, to comfort her, told that she would get her soon. She was never able to because Hind Rajab was shot over 300 times.
Thank you. Speaker number 13, please come forward.
Greetings, members of the City Council.
Evening.
Please put the permanent ceasefire resolution on the agenda. And there have been many false accusations said by Jews and people everywhere that supporting Palestine is anti-Semitic, but that is not true. That is false. And I'm going to point out some Jewish groups that support Palestinian rights. Miko Piled is an Israeli born there, and he has become a pro-Palestinian activist. Aaron Efrati and Maya Wind refused to serve in the Israeli army, and one of them was jailed for 2 years, and there's a whole group of them born there. They are not self-hating Jews. They are just standing for humanity and doing the right thing. There is Zakrat with an office in Tel Aviv. It was started by Israeli Jews in the 2000s. They teach about the Nakba, which the Palestinians call the catastrophe because 500,000 were forced out and displaced decades ago. They stand for Palestinian rights. There's Jewish Voice for Peace. There's Breaking the Silence, which is an Israeli organization of Israeli veterans which share about their regret and their time in the Israeli military in the occupied territories and in Gaza. And there's many others as well. Supporting Palestine is a humane thing to do. Palestinians are suffering every single day. They are being killed and murdered. And it is not just about the ongoing genocide in Gaza. This has been going on for decades. And Yes Jin is also an Israeli nonprofit. It was started by Israelis. It's called Yes Jin. And this is what they tweeted. Those who impose military, forceful, and oppressive rule on millions of people for over 57 years, rob them of their rights, seek to annex their lands, and implement apartheid policies should not be surprised when they find themselves on the defendant's bench. Instead of automatically responding with accusations of anti-Semitism from international tribunals, Israel should examine and change its policy in the West Bank and Gaza and internalize the consequences from the international community. And these tweets are from Israelis born there that started this nonprofit group. And if you guys want a list of these organizations, I'd be happy to list them out and give them to you. These are Israeli Jews born there, or Jews from the United States that have taken a stand and done the right thing, and I hope you do too.
Thank you. Speaker number 14, please come forward. 14. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening to everyone present and everyone listening. Well, there's not much more to say that hasn't already been said. I'm here for the same reason, and as was just mentioned 4 days ago, the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, issued an advisory opinion with significant consequences for human rights protections in Palestine under Israel's 57-year occupation. The opinion stems from a December 2022 request by the United Nations General Assembly for the court to consider legal consequences of Israel's policies and practices in the occupied Palestinian territory. And so this marks a historic ruling in the International Court of Justice, the World Court, as was previously mentioned. And it has found that multiple and serious international law violations by Israel towards Palestinians in the occupied Palestinian territory, including, for the first time, finding Israel responsible for apartheid. The court has placed responsibility with all states and the United Nations to end the violations for international law. The ruling should be yet another wake-up call for the United States to end its egregious policy of defending Israel's oppression of Palestinians and a prompt, thorough reassessment in other countries as well. That being said, I beg you please today to join in the moral and ethical voices of the world in demanding for the illegal apartheid state of Israel to cease fire on the Palestinian people. My petition is that you please agendize a ceasefire resolution for the next meeting. And if appeals to your humanity are not enough, I implore you to please do it for your own legacy. This is historic. The tides are changing. This is the equivalent of the Jewish Holocaust, the American Holocaust. This is our South Africa apartheid. This is the time for you guys to stand up and stand out. This is the time for your legacy. Don't ruin it. Redeem yourselves. Thank you for your time and consideration. Free Palestine.
Thank you. Speaker number 15, please come forward. Good evening.
Good evening. I would just like to say I'm a Palestinian myself. Surprise with the Nakba Day. With the Nakba Day, the other girl was just insisting about talking about the Nakba Day. My great-grandfather was actually exposed, and there was a lot of Palestinians, over 750,000, who were forcefully removed from the land. He moved from Jordan, which he then emigrated to America. Surprise! There's thousands and thousands of us, and we will never, ever talk about, we'll always be proud of our culture and our Palestinian culture and heritage. I always have that Palestinian flag right over there. I'm 100% Palestinian. And you guys are treating us like garbage? Do you guys not see us as human beings? Look at me in the eyes. Do you guys not see me as a human being? I went to Downey High School, and there's thousands of other Palestinians who went to Downey High School and who lived a normal life. You guys are, I don't even know what else to say. It's just the bare minimum is to do the stupid ceasefire for 10 months now? Are you guys kidding me? I don't, like, literally, do you guys have any, like, little empathy for us? I've lived my entire life, and you guys are just acting like we're terrorists? Dude, we just want peace. Palestinians, even me as a Palestinian 100%, we want peace. We want the end to all this violence that's all happening. Every day I see kids getting killed, the heads blown off. They're eating grass right now because they have no food, because there's a food shortage right now in the Gaza. They're not allowing any aid. Are you guys, like, I can't even, wallahi, I cannot even look at you guys because it's just, I know you guys, nothing will change for you guys. I'm a Palestinian, so I know that there's a lot of racism against Palestinians, especially the past, 10 months, against the hatred. Why can't we just be openly racist, just like post 9/11? Why is there like hidden racism now? Huh? I would rather just have open racism against Muslims, Palestinians. Just call us terrorists instead of just doing this nonsense crap. I'm gonna play some videos just to right here. That's it.
Speaker number 16, please come forward. Speaker number 16.
Good evening, City Council.
Good evening.
I came to ask the City Council to agendize a ceasefire resolution. More than 186,000 Palestinians have been murdered by the IOF since the genocide started. From the Cambridge Dictionary, the definition is an agreement, usually between two armies, to stop fighting in order to allow discussions and peace. What's so controversial about a ceasefire? All we want is peace. Don't you want everyone to stop being killed? The Zionists talking about how they want them to be annihilated and all this BS. We just want the genocide to stop on both sides. It's ridiculous. The city of Burbank passed the ceasefire resolution last week, making it the 16th city in Southern California to do so. On July 19th, the International Court of Justice ruled that Israel is illegally occupying Palestinian land, including the West Bank, East Jerusalem, and Gaza. In particular, the court ruled that Israel settlements in the West Bank are contrary to the prohibition of forcible transfer of the protected population under the Articles of the Fourth Geneva Convention. The U.S. must abide by this ruling and end the support for Israel's illegal actions. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. End the occupation, ceasefire now.
Thank you. Speaker number 17, please come forward, 17. Good evening.
Good evening, council members. I come before you tonight to ask you to add an immediate and permanent ceasefire resolution to the agenda. The last time I spoke, I read a list of the many California cities that had passed a ceasefire resolution. Today, I'd like to include cities across the nation who have also passed a ceasefire resolution. These cities are Glenwood Springs, Colorado, Bridgeport, Connecticut, Wilmington, Delaware, Atlanta, Georgia, Chicago, Illinois, Urbana, Illinois, Oak Brook, Illinois, Bloomington, Indiana, Iowa City, Iowa, Coralville, Iowa, Lawrence, Kansas, Portland, Maine, Cheverly, Maryland, Tacoma Park, Maryland, Medford, Massachusetts, Somerville, Massachusetts, Cambridge, Massachusetts, Kalamazoo, Michigan, Lansing, Michigan, Ystanlani, Michigan, Washental County, Michigan, Ann Arbor, Michigan, Canton Township, Michigan, Wayne County, Michigan, Dearborn Heights, Michigan, Dearborn, Michigan, Hamtramck, Michigan, Detroit, Michigan, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Hastings, Minnesota, Red Lake Nation, Minnesota, St. Paul, Minnesota, St. Louis, Missouri, Dover, New Hampshire, Durham, New Hampshire, Hanover, New Hampshire, Lebanon, New Hampshire, Union City, New Jersey, Prospect Park, New Jersey, Patterson, New Jersey, Haledon, New Jersey, Santa Fe, New Mexico, Taos, New Mexico, Albany, New York, Beacon, New York, Newborough, New York, Greensboro, North Carolina, Carborough, North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina, Athens, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, Dayton, Ohio, Akron, Ohio, Toledo, Ohio, Eugene, Oregon, State College, Pennsylvania, Providence, Rhode Island, Charlottesville, Virginia, Harrisonburg, Virginia, Bellingham, Washington, Port Townsend, Washington, Seattle, Washington, Jefferson County, Washington, Olympia, Washington, Madison, Wisconsin, and College Park, Maryland. Please consider adding or actually please do, add a permanent and ceasefire resolution to the agenda. I'd also like to express how deeply disappointed I am in all of you guys. It's been so long. We've been asking and nothing's been done. I feel like you guys have no empathy, no compassion, and it's just really sad that these are, like, you guys are our representatives, you guys are our council members, and where's your humanity? Ceasefire now.
Thank you. Speaker number 18, 18, please come forward.
Okay, so it is really getting ridiculous. You know, we, the community members, started coming up here, pretty much as soon as the genocide started, 10 months ago, and yet you still are unable to do this very simple activity of copying and pasting the resolutions, you can have your pick, that have happened in other cities. Up and down, I'll point out our congressional district. So we've had, just last week, at their last meeting, Huntington Park had a ceasefire resolution. If Huntington Park can do it, following Long Beach, following Bell, Maywood, Cudahy, Bell Gardens, essentially all of our congressional district except Bellflower and Lakewood, they're still not moving, but guess what? You can make sure you move, so you move with the constituents, with the people, because otherwise, yes, I mean, people are also starting to talk about elections. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that you are not representing the community, as is shown very clearly through this. For anyone that doesn't know or doesn't remember, 4 years ago, we had a similar situation here in Downey City Council where the council was not listening to the community. That was on the issue of housing affordability and rent control. So what did the community do? The community elevated a community leader of that issue, Catherine Alvarez, and they elected her. Yes, there was a right-wing landlord-funded recall on her, but the point is it was totally possible for the people to have actual representation on the core issues that they wanted. So that's what we need coming in now into the November election, to November 2024. We need Downey to keep going in a pro-people direction, not an anti-people, pro-corporate, pro-genocide direction, which is where you have us right now. No, we want actual change. So for that, let me just point out to all the community members, we have have 3 seats open in the November election. We got the mayor's seat. And if you live anywhere in Downey, you're registered to vote, you can run against Mr. Trujillo. Please do so. Then we got District 1, Mr. Horacio Ortiz. You can, if you live in essentially South Downey, especially, around the Woodruff area, Imperial area, please run. Or if you're in District 3 with Ms. Pemberton, that's where the Catherine Alvarez won. So it is, that's by Bell Gardens area of Downey. So it is totally possible for the people to have actual pro-people, pro-humanity, not pro-genocide representation, but it's time for the people to get it together because we want actual representation. We don't want this genocide to go on. We want a free Palestine forever.
Thank you, Rodolfo. 19. 19. Speaker 19. Good evening.
Hi. I'm here to call for a ceasefire resolution. I guess I'll share a few things that haven't been shared. And there have been 150 journalists killed in Gaza, more than 500 health workers, more than 270 teachers. There are more than 3,000 malnourished children. In the worst year of Mexico's killing of journalists, the whole year they killed less than 20 journalists. They've killed more than 150 journalists in Gaza. I can't compare anything for the medical workers because most wars, people don't kill medical workers. But they're killing people that are helping people. That's their objective. We know this. We can act like this is a war of some kind of conflict, retaliation, but we know what this is. This is ethnic cleansing. We've seen it. It's in history books. We're American. We know very well what this looks like. And we can act like our silence is going to protect us or what are politicians elected for? They're elected because they have great ideas. They tell us what they think about a situation and they find solutions. Or they can listen to the people and implement solutions. A bunch of silent politicians means that you give up your opinion. Y'all conquered this whole fucking continent to just sit there silently as genocide happens because that's what protects you the best right at this moment, right? It's pathetic, but it's not really because there is an agenda and you're following it, There's a consensus and, the International Criminal Court, which has been a U.S. biased court, in history, it hasn't prosecuted any U.S. politician that should be prosecuted through all the interventions that the military has conducted around the world. But now the ICJ says that Israel is conducting occupation and apartheid. Even our own allies, our little false courts are turning against us because they can't hide the obvious. The obvious is that this is a genocide and it's apartheid. And they haven't ruled on genocide yet because it takes about 2 years to find a ruling. The occupation ruling was started about 2 years ago. Free Palestine.
Thank you. Speaker 20, 20.
Hello, my name is Joaquin Beltran, and I'm calling for the arrest of Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu for the crimes of genocide in Palestine. There's an arrest warrant by the International Criminal Court. In fact, The Lancet has published a study showing that at a conservative estimate, 186,000 Palestinians have been murdered. 186,000. That's conservative estimate. The number is likely much higher. You know, we're asking for months now, almost 10 months now, for a ceasefire resolution, right? It's the equivalent of saying cut it out, right? Cut it out, cut out the fighting. But that's apparently too much responsibility for this council. It's easy enough to resign if you guys aren't up to leadership challenges. Of course, elections was mentioned a few minutes ago, so I do encourage people to run who actually have leadership qualities. That would be nice in the city of Downey. At this point, we should be divesting all funds. City of Richmond was the first one to call for a ceasefire. They were the first ones to call to actually do divestment as well. And you guys still, when asked about a ceasefire or your stance on the genocide, you remain silent. I know some of you may be looking forward to some APAC money, but the winds are changing. People are waking up, and you are falling way behind. We should be investing in universal healthcare, housing, clean air. 7 unions today called on President Biden to halt military aid. Unions. Association of Flight Attendants, American Postal Workers Union, International Union of Painters, National Education Association, Service Employees International Union, United Auto Workers, and United Electrical Workers. We're all seeing this with our eyes. We see what it means to target innocent civilians, to target doctors, to target aid workers, to target children. A doctor was interviewed, talked about a child being killed by sniper fire, 2 sniper fires. It's way overdue. The permanent ceasefire for Downey is way overdue. Get on it. It's shameful. It's just be a little less shameful, I guess, because it's way overdue. We need to do divestment. We need to do sanctions. And we have the power. Whatever you guys end up doing, elections are coming. Free Palestine.
Number 21.
Before I take the podium.
No, not doing this, ma'am. Come use your time. This is your, see, you did this last time and I warned you. Listen, ma'am, please don't do that. Okay, be very courteous. When your time starts at the podium, you can start and tell us whatever you want. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm a pure
3
Palestinian.
minutes, go ahead.
Born and raised in Haifa. I came to this country at age 25. I also happen to be a Christian, more specific, a Catholic. Some of you are Catholics over here. Anyways, I'm making a point here. But let me tell you, 10 months, we're coming back again, over and over. You either have a heart or you don't have it. Let me tell you, the people that are against putting a ceasefire resolution, I call them genocide enablers. They're right there. Okay, that's what it is. I'm really tired of feeling guilt for being helpless. And I'm here to ask you to do something. Mario, when you spoke so passionately about saving one LGBTQ member, I'd like to challenge you, try save 10, 100,000 of innocent Palestinians. I thought you have a heart. Or are you just a double standard politician? You know it. That's my question for you. The genocide enablers, you know who they are. They're behind there with the big sign. They say it's not a city matter. It's dividing the community. Oh, and I just discovered, oh, we fear for our children. We're afraid for our children. She's not here from ETA. She had a stupid reason. I have Jewish friends and I have Palestinian friends. I want to be on this side. I want to be friends with everybody. That is an elected official? Woo, how smart. Really smart. Shame. Here's what I want to tell you. Do the right thing. Put it on the agenda. Vote not just for ceasefire, for free Palestine now, not tomorrow. You need to be on the right side of history. Remember, you have to tell your great-grandkids what you voted on. Thank you.
Thank you. Speaker 22. Speaker 22. 22.
You know, it's a shame we keep on coming and asking for something simple. Cease fire. Shame on you. You can't come up with a decision. You see the atrocities, the killing. And what we see over here, we see supporters of rape are not wanted here. I would like him to leave because it's the IDF that rape women, not the Palestinians. That's one point that everybody has to understand. So, you know, it's your sign, please leave. You know, another thing, you know, I look at your prime minister, and I'm saying your prime minister, Benjamin Hitler Netanyahu. He's here to talk to the politicians so that they can support what he says. Without him, nobody will be elected. So yes, tomorrow we're gonna see things that it's gonna be so shameful about our country. And yet, you can't say ceasefire. Ceasefire. We're having people, it's not 187. Some other estimates, it shows that about 250,000 people are dead, mostly children and women. Where are you? It's all what it is, just cease fire. Why can't you say that? Why can't you go ahead and stand with the rest of the world? You're just sitting over here and being silent. Silence means that you agree with the genocide. So you have to go ahead and vote. So all what I'm asking you, if you want to be on the side of the right, vote. Go ahead and put it on the agenda and vote for, you know, ceasefire. Thank you.
23. 23.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Ms.
I have a party to attend also, but this is very important to me because I saw this is repeating. This happened years back, and I came in and I said, I know all of you council members. I knew some of the people that were protesting about the increase or being kicked out of their building. And I also knew some realtors. So it was a three-side, and I told them, I'm here. You guys make the right decision. And just give an extension to this tenants. It was so easy to make that decision. I was sitting here when I saw a lot of people asking, begging you. Two people were in the hospital with heart attacks and everything because it was November. I was sitting here and I saw this happen, and it's gonna come again. It's really simple. I'm not gonna say her name because she's not here, but we all know what she said. Out of respect, I'm not gonna say her name, but we all know she cannot make a decision because she has friends on both sides. Guess what? I also have friends on both sides, but as public servants, you guys must make a decision. You see like two sides fighting. It's so simple. Just make this ceasefire. It's so simple. It takes only 3 of you, 3 votes. I know you can do it, Mr. Sosa. I know you can do it, Dorothy. And vote for the people, not who is telling you how to vote or whatever. I know, Mario, you have a good heart. And I know, Horacio, you have the biggest heart out of the group. And I know you guys can make this. You don't want 2 sides fighting, and you don't want the same thing repeating in our city, because it's gonna happen. I'm telling you guys, I told you guys it was going to happen, and I saw how they got out and screaming and yelling and everything, and I knew they were going to elect somebody. And what happened? We had somebody sitting here. Yes, it was removed and everything, but you guys created the problem. So let's stop the problem now. Let's cease the fire. It's very simple. Have a heart. You have 2 friends fighting. Stop that. Don't be afraid. It takes 3 of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. I think we have one more speaker. Is there a 23? Okay. Oh, and there's a 24 as well. 23? Oh, 24 then. You're right. She's 23. Good evening.
Somebody left their phone. Is this yours?
Oh.
All right, so when this is all over, when there's a ceasefire, yeah, no thanks to you, you better, don't you dare say that you stood on the right side of history. Don't you dare say that you sympathized with the Palestinian people. Don't you dare put up a monument. Don't you dare make any kind of declaration, any kind of Memorial Day, because I will be there in that crowd to remind you that you did not do shit. You did not even pass a ceasefire resolution. You didn't even propose one. You didn't even take the time to speak to us. Horacio completely ignored us. He just ghosted us. He seemed interested at first, and he started ghosting everybody. And then for Meta, we know where she stands. Trujillo, you too. I don't know what's happening here. The Speaker of the House threatened the Congress members to not interrupt Netanyahu tomorrow. Like, what the fuck is going on in our country that it's fascism is what it is. So I guess that's all I came to say. I may or may not come back, but I just want you to remember that you did not sympathize with the Palestinian people whatsoever. You couldn't do one simple fucking thing, okay?
I believe that's the last speaker. So is there a motion and a second to close public comment?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
So ordered by the mayor.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Oh, Jesus.
Ceasefire resolution!
Okay.
Members of the public.
Yeah.
Members of the public are warned the public comment period is now over. All members of the public, please do not engage in conduct that is disorderly, or you'll be subject to removal from the council chambers. Thank you.
You're all warned.
Members of the public.
You're all warned.
This is
You're all
your warning.
warned. Thank you. See you next week. See, this is when you guys start, and then you can take out your videos so I can call some of you. You need to go.
Members of the public.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
Members of the public, please be warned once again that this conduct is now disorderly and interrupting the progress of the meeting. Please clear the chambers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. So ordered by the mayor. Now's the time for consent calendar items. Are there any council members that would like to remove or abstain from an item?
Mayor, on item number 8, I'm going to abstain from item 8 because I live 500 feet in the proximity of this.
Councilwoman Pemberton will abstain from consent item number 8. Any other council members wish to remove an item or abstain? Okay. With that, is there a motion and a second to approve the consent
So
calendar?
moved.
Second.
Please vote.
The consent calendar is approved with Councilmember Pemberton abstaining from item number 8.
Thank you. Administrative reports. There's one administrative report.
Mayor, before we move on, were you abstaining from item number?
I'm sorry.
10?
I did have an abstention, and that was from item number 10. So if you can note my abstention on
For the
item number
record,
10.
the consent calendar is approved with Councilmember Pemberton abstaining from item number 8 and Mayor Trujillo abstaining from item number 10.
Thank you. There's one administrative report this evening, number 12, adoption of a resolution pertaining to a proposed ballot measure establishing a supplemental transactions and use sales tax in the city of Downey of 1/4 cent to be submitted to the voters at the November 5th, 2024 general municipal election. This is under the purview of the administration, that the city council, number 1, adopt a resolution number 24-8258, calling for the placement of a general sales tax measure on the ballot for the November 25, 24 general municipal election for the submission to the qualified voters of an ordinance to enact a supplemental general transactions and use sales tax at the rate of 1/4 cent. Number 2, adopt resolution 24-8259, requesting the Board of Supervisors of the County of LA to consolidate a general municipal election to be held on November 5th, 2024, with the statewide general election to be held on that date pursuant to section 10403 of the Elections Code. And number 3, adopt resolution number 24-8260, providing for the filing of primary and rebuttal arguments and setting rules for the filing of written arguments regarding a city measure to be submitted on the November 5th, 2024 general municipal election. City Manager Bradley, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I appreciate the opportunity to provide this presentation. We'll kind of start and get the presentation up. There we go. We'll start a little bit kind of where we were early in the beginning of this year. We had a conversation with the council back in January about strategic planning, about our budget process. And over the several months that we were engaged in that dialogue, we did several surveys with the community to try to figure out what priorities they had, what issues they were seeing, and what was the vision of the community. And during that process, not surprisingly, we heard a lot of feedback from the community about maintaining our 911 emergency responses, making sure that when you have need at your home, somebody was going to show up and take care of you and your family. Dealing with crimes and theft in the community. We've been very successful with our commercial corridors, with our downtown. We've had a lot of folks coming from the area. There have been some issues with crime and as people have come into our community. Helping ensure that our children have safe places to play. You want to go to the park. You want to make sure that your kid can have a good time on the playground without any problems or issues. Folks are really concerned about our firefighters, making sure that we have paramedics that are well-trained, have the resources they need to be successful. Looking at our streets and potholes, folks were concerned about the paving. We've been working on that over the past several years, couple of years, to look at paving in our residential areas as well as looking at arterials. And in particular, looking at increasing our amenities to retain and attract local businesses to our community so that you have great places to shop and great restaurants to go to. Folks have been really very proud of the fact that we have, and I think we are as staff as well, an in-house police and fire department in particular. We're a full-service city, meaning we provide a broad range of services to our community. A lot of communities are having trouble maintaining this service model. A lot of them go to a contract model where they're working with and through a contract with the county to provide services within their community. Our staff, in particular our police and fire folks, work here, are dedicated to this community, spend their careers here, and are dedicated to the things that Downey represents. A lot of times when you have a contract model, you have allegiances to a sister agency like the county who has different priorities, different protocols, different practices. You may come into the city for a year or two, and you may transfer to another location. Having our own in-house police and fire departments is very important. It's getting to be more difficult in these financial times to continue to maintain that model, but we're proud that over the years we've been able to continue to provide that service in-house and have dedicated folks that come here day in and day out and leave their blood, sweat, and tears in this community. Again, public safety for us as staff is also a huge priority. Residents are also concerned about the increase in crime. We've had over the past year, a spike over a 5-year high in the spike in crime within the community. We're seeing over 3,100 incidents of robberies, burglaries, thefts, including auto thefts. That is a concern. With something that we're dealing with in the community, something that's regional as well. But it's becoming increasingly difficult to maintain the levels of services that we need to in order to make sure that we can get back to your home on time and take care of you and your family. One of the things that people ask me, and I'll talk a little bit more about this as we go through the presentation, what keeps you up at night as a city manager about this community? And for me in particular, I look at our staffing levels and looking at, in particular, our public safety units. We're at the same level of services or staffing as we were in 2008 and 2024. And that's a concern for me. We have had a lot of different things change in the community over these years, and we need to adapt and adjust to that. I'll talk more about that in a minute. On our fire side, we have a great fire team. Nearly 70% of the calls that they receive are for medical emergencies. We want to make sure, and we've been working hard to give them the resources they need to be successful. We want a team that is highly trained and effective. So when you have an emergency at your home and somebody shows up to take care of you or a loved one, they can make sure they can get you fast onto the road to recovery. And we have a great team there. But again, there's challenges in these financial times to continue to make sure that we can provide all the services we need to the community. So what are we talking about here today with a proposal of a ballot measure? We've been having, over the past several years, it's no surprise, significant inflation that we've been dealing with, and there's been an increased cost for services. As I mentioned, our staffing levels are at 2008 levels, and we're in 2024. We need to find a way to bring in additional resources so that we can grow our public safety elements. As I mentioned, we are somewhat of a victim of our success. We have great commercial corridors, we have great downtown and other amenities in this community that attract folks from all over the region. But often there is another element of difficulty in keeping our community safe as a result of that. And we need to put more boots on the ground as well as maintain the services that we currently have in an effective way to keep this community safe. And what we're talking about today is an opportunity to solve some of that problem and bringing in additional resources so that we can maintain an effective public safety force as well as continue to grow into a 2024 full-time equivalent staffing level. So before the council today is what we're calling the public safety local control ballot measure. We're estimating that this public safety item, this measure will bring in about $6 million per year to additional resources to help out the city. This will provide funding to assist the city in maintaining our 911 emergency responses, help us to reduce crime trends within the community by providing additional resources, training, and additional staffing on our streets. We get more boots on the ground. We have the ability right now to accomplish all of this with the public safety measure. We can actually add to and sustain our future with this tax measure and actually provide an opportunity for us to continue to grow our police staff and staffing forces so that you see more police officers, you see more firefighters out in the community to take care of you and your family. And I think importantly, I think some others had mentioned it too, tonight we're not asking the city council to raise taxes or anything of that nature. We're asking you as a council to put this before the community and let them choose whether they would like to provide additional resources for these services so that we can keep our community safe. So before you today, a couple of points that we wanted to provide to you. We did do a survey of the community to determine if there is some support amongst the community for a potential revenue measure. During that survey, 62% of Downey residents, and this is a statistically valid survey, said that they would support a public safety measure, that they were behind our public safety units and realized that there was a need for additional resources there. And importantly, I want to make sure it's clear that a revenue measure of this nature brings 100% of those dollars into the community to be spent here in the city on our needs, on our public safety needs in this community. They cannot be taken by the state at any time or by the county. Those are resources that can be brought here and used for our purposes in keeping this community safe. There is a little bit of a nuance that I want to make sure people kind of know. It's a little, hopefully not too hard to understand, that there is a state law that allows for cities to have an elective amount of sales tax raised and brought into the community. But there is and can be some competition in that spectrum, meaning that if another agency other than the city, and let's say the county, which has done this in the past, elects to raise a sales tax in our community. Right now we have a county measure, which was Measure H, passed in 2016. Those revenues are charged here, taken from our community into outside of our city, and we don't get to have direct access to those funds. If we were to have this revenue measure passed, those funds would be solely dedicated to the city in perpetuity. Nobody could take that away from us. We do have an assessment of our police department that we currently have underway. We expect to get the results of that study in September, which will call for additional police officers. And so I don't have that number yet. We'll get that number through the study. These revenues would be able to pay for those additional police staff. We envision that we're going to have the same sort of issue in the fire department. We're also back in 2008 numbers with the fire department, and we will be able to expand our staffing with these funds. Most importantly, this proposal before the council tonight will help us, as it was a priority of the community, as a priority of our staff, to continue to maintain our 911 response efforts for the community, that we can come out and keep this community safe. So again, just to kind of recap, a local measure of this type will keep all tax dollars, sales tax dollars within the community. 100% of those funds stay here with the city. Nobody can take them away. They will help us to improve our 911 emergency response, keep this community safe, make sure that we have a properly resourced fire and police protection units, as well as paramedic services. Importantly, it'll put more public safety staff out on the streets to keep Downey safe and help us to reducing crime and keep us safe and clean in the community. As a result, I'm recommending that the City Council adopt the resolutions before you this evening to place a public safety local control ballot measure before the voters for their consideration this November. And that concludes my presentation. Happy to provide any responses or answers to questions that you may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any council members have any questions or comments?
Yes. Thank you, City Manager Bradley. Just a couple of questions. Measure H, do you know approximately how much we're receiving from
It's
county?
about $6 million that goes out of the city to the county.
Do we see any of that come back?
Any direct dollars? No.
And if the county were to come in with the same type of increase, are they necessarily competing against each other if this goes on the ballot?
So if we have this measure passed, the quarter-cent that would be on the sales tax would only be for the city, and the county were to come and pass something in that spectrum, they would not be able to charge something here locally. There is a mechanism that they might be able to use to go to the state to get special permission to do a sales tax measure, and they will have something, I think, like that on the ballot coming up. But if we are able to seize that spectrum of the quarter-cent on the within the sales tax law, that money is dedicated to us, and nobody can take it away.
Thank you. And then one more question: what's the sample size of the survey? I'm just curious.
I believe it was about 900.
900, okay. Which is a sufficient.
Which was a statistically sufficient number to make it to draw valid conclusions from the survey.
Thank you. I was provided a comment by Council Member Claudia Frumeta to share, if I may. These are Claudia Frumeta's words. Public safety remains my top priority, and as a council, our main concern for our community. The proposed public safety tax measure for a quarter-cent increase would provide Downey with a $6 million annually to help maintain 911 emergency response times and police patrols in neighborhoods and business areas to keep our residents and their property safe. Data from 2023 indicates Downey saw a 5-year high in reported property crimes, including over a combined 3,100 robberies, burglaries, and thefts, including auto thefts. We must act now and vote yes on the public safety measure. This has my full support, and I ask my council colleagues and Downey residents to join me in supporting this measure. Councilmember Claudia Frumeta. That concludes my comments for now.
Any other comments or questions?
I'll have a few comments. In reviewing the report, it's a very good detailed report, and my understanding being new has now made me realize that local control is very key. And what we had here with Measure S and not seeing our $6 million sales tax come back to us, I know it was a homeless in the measure that it was going to go to homelessness, but have we seen any results of that homelessness in our city, or resolutions and such?
Nothing that I could report
That
to.
we can
Measure H
have.
is what you're referring to, but yes.
Yeah, so, and so explaining with the quarter cent, and we may be competing, to me, it's very clear that having local control, coming back to our city, having a police survey that's going to come back, and we know that we could use more officers, more staff in police, more in fire. We are a very fortunate city, as they say, being in the region, being a full-service city with our own police, our own fire. And that does come at a cost, because we have the best, we hire the best, and we need to have that influx of revenue coming in. We are one of the lower cities in tax base here. We are at 10% compared to some at 10, 10 and a quarter, 10 and a half, and we still have such good quality. But as you mentioned, we are still below staffing levels. We're always trying to, put a Band-Aid sometimes on things. Having local control is what's key here, I think, for me on this measure. But more importantly, it's affecting our residents, and it should be a ballot vote, and it should be the decision of the people. They can see what we have been doing, how we can get even better, and to do that, we need to have the source of revenue. So thank you for the report and the detail of it, and letting me understand part of it. But I can see how this would be something that we want to bring to the residents. They can see the benefit that we will have and where it's going to be. It's all local control, which we need. Thank you.
And if I may, I do want to agree with my council colleagues. I think local control is very important. I know our city manager mentioned that we're going to have our police department assessment coming pretty soon. And I'm pretty sure it's going to say that we need more staffing, more police officers. And when I ran, I did say that I think we outgrew our police department, and I think it's very necessary that at least we give the opportunity to the residents to decide what they want to do. And to be honest, I know there are some representatives from higher office, but honestly, I don't see those funds either never come to us or rarely come to us. So I don't really bank on them to spend our local dollars elsewhere. So that's my vote right now.
It sounds like this council is ready to support this going to the voters, and I want to be clear on that. We are not deciding to raise taxes. What we're deciding is for this measure to be on the ballot so that the residents can consider whether we should tax ourselves. As a longtime resident, either the county or the state's going to come after this quarter. So it is incumbent upon us to protect that quarter sales tax to make sure it comes to us. And when you have individuals like former Mayor Guerra who are coming forward, and we know, and I stand with him, part of my campaign was no more taxes. We're already at 10%. But when I research it and I see that if we don't take action, the county's going to come take it. I am going to ask the residents eventually to support this measure because we don't have a choice. Well, we do have a choice. We can just let it go to the county and the state, which is what's going to happen. So because of that, I'm going to support this going to the residents, and I do plan on advocating on behalf of this measure because that is what's best for the city. We do need more police officers. And while Measure S was a great effort, all that did was bring our staffing levels back to what they were with the 2008 recession. We have thousands of people who are now coming into our city and no increase in police officers. And those individuals are coming to spend money here. But we need more police officers to deal with the issues that comes with opening up your city for economic activity from surrounding residents. So with that,
I just have a question.
Yes.
Just so, the current measure, there's measure H that's currently in place by the county, right?
Yes,
For the
correct.
homeless. That's until when?
That expires in 2027.
And there's currently another measure coming up by the county.
The county is seeking to put another measure on the ballot in November as well. That's correct.
And that will just continue that.
That will replace the current measure H is the intent from the
And
county.
so if the county decides not to approve that measure, then by 2027, or
that will then the measure H that's there will off the tax roll. That's
It'll go
correct.
back to 10%.
Mm-hmm.
Could I tag on that question? In 2027, if the county, try to come back and get the quarter cent, can we as well try to get our own quarter cent back?
If we were, if it expires and
So
it's
then we can have a
available,
half
we
cent
could
coming
see,
straight to Downey?
That would be an option for the city to look at, yes.
I just have one quick comment, an additional comment. If we put this on we approve to put this on the ballot and basically give the power to the people to be able to vote on this, which is the way it should be. That's democracy. It also allows us to, it allows our residents, including all of us, the power to be proactive, especially with all these housing mandates that we've been slapped with, having to add all these additional homes by the year 2029. We're going to need additional resources. So it gives us the power as residents to be able to have a say in being proactive and providing these additional resources for PD and for our community. So I do support putting this on the ballot.
Excellent. I will now entertain a motion and a second to adopt the recommended actions. So I hear a motion.
I move to adopt.
And I second.
Very well. No vote is needed.
Yes,
we
Mayor,
do
I'm
need
sorry.
to-
We do
Actually-
need to take a vote to adopt the recommended actions.
Oh, my apologies. Yes, let's take a vote.
Was there a second? There was a second.
There was a second.
Yeah, second.
Thank you.
The motion is approved unanimously.
All right. So it's time to adjourn. The time is 9:16. The City Council meeting is now adjourned in memory of Police Officer Jamieson Ritter of the Cleveland Division of Police, who lost his life while attempting to arrest a wanted suspect. Also in memory of Assistant Chief Kevin Palmer of the North Richland Hills Police Department, who passed away after suffering a medical emergency after completing a mandatory physical fitness test. And Deputy Sheriff Fernando Esqueda of the Harris County Sheriff's Office, who was fatally shot in an ambush while investigating a vehicle linked to an aggravated assault. And Police Officer Matthew Bowen of the Vacaville Police Department, who died after being struck by a vehicle during a traffic stop. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. The meeting is now adjourned. The time is 9:17 p.m. Thank you.